Alright, people, now we are going to get some web dev into our brains. So I want some, give me some web dev. Give me some web dev. Web dev. Uh, GitHub, development, learning web design. I think I have finished chapter 6. Now I will be on to chapter 7. Think about the place I used to find, don't I used to say. Okay. Telephone links. It was Android have feature that detects phone numbers and automatically. Okay, so we can create this yourself. We are done. Okay, adding images. A web page with all the text and no pictures isn't fun. The web's explosion into mass popularity was due in part to the fact that there were images on the page. Before images, the internet was a text-only tundra. Adding images to a web page using source, alt, width, and height attributes. Okay, images appear on web pages in two ways: embedded in the inline content. Images images appear on images appear on images appear on web pages in two ways: embedded background images are added using cascading. Okay, inline or background images. Background images are added using cascading style sheets and are talked about in length chapter 13. With the emergence of, I think, yep, okay. So, yeah. With the emergence of standards driven design and its mission to keep all matters of presentation out of the document structure, there has been a shift away from using inline images for purely decorative purposes. Okay, with the emergence of standards driven design and its mission to keep all matters of presentation of document structure out of the document structure purposes. See the sidebar images move to background on the following page for the more information on this trend. In this chapter, we'll focus on embedding image content into document using IMG element. Using the image element when the image is the content. Use the image element when the image is the contents. Just product shots, gallery images, ads, illustration, and so on. I think you get the idea. Okay. First word. First, a word on image format. We'll get into image element and markup examples in a moment, but first it's important to know that you can't put just any image on a web page. In order to be displayed inline, images must be format. Okay, GIF, JPEG, or PNG. Chapter 21, Web graphics basics explain these formats and image type they handle best. In addition to being in an appropriate format, image files need to be named with proper suffixes in order to be recognized by the browser. Okay. If you have a source image that is in another popular format such as TIFF, BMP, or EPS, you'll need to convert it into a web format before you can add it to the page. If you for some reason must keep your graphics file in its original format, for example a file for a CAD program or an image in a vector format, you can make it available as an external image by making a link. Okay, like this. Right. Okay, so browsers use helper applications to display media they can't handle alone. The browser matches the suffix of the file in the link to the appropriate helper application. The external image may open in a separate application window or within the browser window if the helper. Okay, the external image in a separate application window or, or within the browser window if the helper application is a plugin, such as QuickTime plugin. The browser may also ask the user to save the file or open an application manually. It is possible that it won't be able to be opened at all. Okay, right. Okay, without further okay, images back move to the background. Images that are used purely for decoration have more to do with presentation than document structure and content. For that reason, they should be controlled with a style sheet rather than the markup. Okay. Using CSS, it is possible to place an image in the background of the page or in any text element. Yeah. Yep. These techniques are introduced here. There are several benefits to specifying decorative images only in an external style sheet and keeping them out of the document structure. Not only does it make the document cleaner and more accessible, but it makes it easier to make changes to look and feel of a site than when presentational elements are inter, interspersed in the content. Interspersed. For inspiration on how for inspiration on how visually rich a web page can be with no image elements. For inspiration on how visually rich a web page can be with no image elements, look at the examples and select the design section of the okay, CSS and garden site. The image element is required. Okay, the image element adds an inline image. The image element tells the browser place an image here. You've already gotten a glimpse of it. Used to place. You've already gotten a glimpse of it as it is used to place banner graphics, an example in chapter 5 and 4 and 5. You can also place an image element right in the flow of the text at the point where you want the image to appear, such as the following example. Okay. Images stay in the flow of the text and do not cause any line breaks. HTML5 call this phrasing element. Okay. All images are aligned with the baseline of the surrounding text and they do not cause a line break. When the browser sees the image element, it makes a request to the server and retrieves the image file before displaying it on the page. On a fast network with a fast computer, even though a separate request is made for each image file, the page usually appears to arrive instantaneously. On mobile devices with slow network connection, we may be well aware of the wait for images to be fetched one at a time. Okay. Same displaying. The same is true for users still using dial-up internet connections or other slow networks, like the expensive Wi-Fi at luxury hotels. Oh yeah, funny. Uh, Wait, no. I'll give it a thing. Maybe blue for funny. Okay. When designing mobile web experiences, it is wise to limit the number of server requests in general, which means carefully considering the number of images on the page. Okay, when designing. Ooh, I didn't mean to do that. Number of Carefully considering the number of images on the page. The source and alt attributes shown in the sample are required. The source and alt attributes shown in the sample are required. The source attribute tells the browser the location of the image file. The alt attribute provides alternative text that displays if the image is not available. Okay. Wait, we'll talk about. There are there are a few other things of note. This is working right. Okay. There are a few other things of note about the image element. It is an empty element, which means it doesn't have any content. You just place it in the flow of the text where it should belong. If you choose to write in the structure XHTML syntax, you need to terminate, right? It is an inline element, so it behaves like any other inline element in the text flow. Illustrates the inline nature of the image when the browser window is resized. Okay. When the browser window is resized and the line of images reflows to fill the new width. The image element is what's known as a replaced element because it is replaced by an external file where the page is displayed. Okay. This makes it different from text elements that have their content right there in the source. By default, the bottom edge of an image aligns with the baseline of the text. Okay. Using CSS, you can float the image to the right or left margin and allow text to flow around it. Okay. Control the space borders. Again, part 3. Okay. Providing the location with the source. The value of the source attribute is the URL of the image. In most cases, the image you use on your web page will reside on your server, so you will use relative URLs to the point. Then if you just read, you should be pretty handy with writing relative URLs by now. In short, if the image is in the same directory as HTML document, you can just refer to the name by. Developers usually organize the images for a site into a directory called image, assets, or graphics. Developers usually organize the images for a site into a directory called images, assets, or graphics. There may have been separate image directories for each section of the site. If an image is not in the same directory as the document, you need to provide the path name to the image file. Yes. Of course, you can place image URL like this. Okay. Of course, you can place image from other websites as well. Just be sure that you have permission to do so. Just use an absolute URL like this. Okay. Providing alternate text with alt text. Every image must also contain an alt attribute that is used to provide a brief description of the image for those who are not able to see it, such as screen providers, braille, or even small. Alternate text, also referred as alt text, should serve as a substitute for the image contained. Alternate text, also referred to as alt text, should serve as a substitute for the image content, serving the same purpose in presenting the same information. If you are happy, you know it, clap your hands. A screen reader might indicate the image by reading its alt value this way. If you are image happy, okay. If an image does not add anything meaningful to the context of the page, it is recommended that you leave the value of alt attribute empty. Okay. Sean, you may also consider whether it is more appropriately handled as a background image. Note that there is the following example as you may also consider whether it is more appropriately handled as a background image with CSS, but I digress. Note that there is no character space between the quotation marks. Do not omit the alt attribute altogether, however, because it will cause the document to be invalid. Alright. Maybe which is like points to remember. Invalid. where a dating document is covered. For each inline image on your page content, consider what the alternative text would sound like when read aloud and whether that enhances or is just obtrusive to a screen reader's user experience. Okay. Alternative text may benefit users with graphical browsers as well. If a user has opted to turn images off in the browser preference, okay, or if the image simply fails to load, the browser may display the alternative text to give the user an idea of what's missing. The handling of alternative text is inconsistent among modern browsers. However, Chrome and Mac Windows and happy with image displayed. Firefox, Windows and Mac, Chrome. Most browsers display alternative text in place of image, either with an icon or with an inline text. This is a notable exception. Image accessibility. Images and other non-text content are a challenge for users accessing the web with screen readers. Alternative text allows you to provide a short description for what is can't see. However, there are some types of images such as data charts and diagrams that require longer description than the practical. For extremely long description, consider writing the description elsewhere on the page or in a separate document and to making a reference or link to it near the image. HTML HTML included long description attribute, but it was dropped due to lack of support. The long description attribute points to a separate HTML document containing a lengthy description of the image. In HTML5, the fig caption element allows a long description of an image when it is placed in a figure. Okay. There is more to say about these images, the image accessibility than I can fit in this chapter. I encourage you to start your research with these resources. Okay. Note, serving different image files for an image element based on a device size is handled by JavaScript. Different image files for a program running on the server. It is beyond the scope of this chapter, but see sidebar. Okay. Right, then providing width and height dimensions. Width, number, okay, image width in numbers, and image height in pixels. The width and height attributes indicate the dimensions of the image. The width and height attributes indicate the dimensions of the image in number of pixels. Sounds mundane, but these attributes can speed up the time it takes to display the final page by seconds. Ooh. Browsers use the specified dimensions to hold the right amount of space in the layout while the images are loading, rather than reconstructing the page each time a new image arrives. Okay, and that's great if you are designing one version of a page with one fixed image size. However, in these days of responsive web design, it is common to create several versions of the same image and send a small one to small device and a larger larger image for larger screen devices and rescale the image to fit the size in between. If you are scaling images in responsive design or delivering multiple image sizes, do not use width attribute in the markup. Right. With this caveat in mind, let's look at how width and height work for those cases when it is appropriate to use them. Okay, using a browser to find pixel dimension. You can find the pixel dimensions of the image by opening it in an image editing program, of course, but did you know you can also use a web browser? Using Chrome, Firefox, or Safari, simply open the image file and its pixel dimension in the browser's title bar along with it, and it simply open the image file and its pixel dimensions display in the browser's title bar along the file name. Let me try that. I think I have. Okay, let me see. Open with. I'll go open with Brave. Goose. I don't see. Is it 204? I don't see its dimensions, dude. I think they have stopped doing that. Yep, I think they have stopped doing that. Okay. Where was I? In here. Okay. With this with this caveat in mind, let's look at how width and height work for those cases when it is appropriate to use them. Okay, match values with actual pixel size. Be sure that the pixel dimensions you specify are the actual dimensions of the image. If the pixel values differ from the actual dimensions of the image, the browser resizes to match the specified values. Okay. Although it may be tempting to resize in this manner, you should avoid doing so. Even though the image may appear small on the page, the larger image and even though the image may size corresponding. Okay. Even though the image may appear small on the page, the large image with its corresponding large file size still needs to download. Okay. It's better to resize the image in an image editing program and then place it at actual size. Okay. The page. Not only that, but resizing with attributes usually results in a blurry and deformed image. In fact, if your images ever look fuzzy when viewed with the browser, the first thing to check is that the width and height values match the dimensions of the image exactly. Okay. Adding and linking images. You're back from Italy and adventures in Italy. Oh. You're back from Italy and it's time to post about some of your travels. In this exercise, you'll add a thumbnail images to a travel vlog and make them link to pages with full-sized versions. All the thumbnails, but this website don't work. Buy the book on Amazon. Fourth edition recording. Okay, material. Oh, dude, that's great. I should have. Just. Isn't that great? Download. There we go. What was I doing? Chapter 7. 7 zip. Okay. So I will take it to Shane, web dev, GitHub, design book. I will place it. Extract here. Not exactly I want it to be, but okay. we'll make a new folder. We'd say what was the name of exercise material? Yes, okay. Exercise material. We'll place everything to exercise material. Okay. Go on to here. Okay, chapter 7. Window and source. Okay. How to unzip using CMD and Windows. tar. Zip not supported. Zip support is not well documented. Expand archive. If you have Windows 10, you can use much shorter. PowerShell equivalent expand slash archive. Okay, then let's go. Expand archive of dash force of okay, but this is not really what. Okay, we'll take a look at this later, but just get what you need right now. Okay, check there. Exercise 7.1. Is that all? Index.html. Okay, so what do I have to do? All the thumbnails and photos you need have been created for you, and I've given you a headshot on the HTML files as well. Everything is available. Put a copy of the Tuscany folder on your hard drive. Make sure to keep it organized as you find it. As always, so this little site is made up of main page index.html and 3 separate HTML documents containing each of the larger image. Okay, so we have photos and then we have thumbnails, and we will then I will go to chapter 7, adding images. Exercise 7.1. Tuscany. Okay, first we'll add the thumbnails and then we'll add the full size version of the respective pages. Okay, so I would open all of them here. Right, cassette title, text align center. Right on text align center. Yeah. Index.html, href window.html. Okay, so what do I have to do? Finally, we'll make the thumbnails link to those. Okay, first we'll add the thumbnails. Okay, so if I run this right now, get Pozzarello, and I have to add it. Use a thumbnail everywhere else. So we'll start with height. Okay. Okay. So this opens up in window.html where I already have uh, the Tuscan files, right? Okay, we'll take a look at it later, but for now, okay, right. So I just have to do this href Tuscan countryside. So I'll provide the countryside.html, then source equals what is thumbnails slash countryside underscore thumb. Okay, so thumbnails slash countryside underscore thumb dot jpg, and I can provide an alt view of the Tuscan countryside. Then I need to specify the width. Okay, need to specify the width. Tuscan countryside is 100 by 75 with 100 and height equals 75, and this should did I forget anything? I don't think so. Index.html countryside.html. Okay, but shref. Oh shit. Sorry. Yes, these are all attributes of image. I have to put image, right, image with source alt, then we close the image, and there we go. Image, right. Put a image. Okay, image don't have a closing tag. That is exactly what you need to, that it is a single. Okay, still my bad, sorry. Image tag, it is an image tag, and now we have this, and I can open it, but there is nothing. So we will add countryside. How he did with window. Okay, we put image with source view out the window of rolling Tuscan hills. So I will add an image element, image with source and alt view of the Tuscan countryside. Then we'll provide a width and a height. So we'll go to Tuscany photos slash countryside.jpg slash countryside.jpg, and the dimensions are 500 by 375. 500 by 375. So there we go. Nice. Okay, back to home page. I must have forgotten to close Yep, I forgot this. So load it, go here, back to. Then I have to do the same with Sienna. Sienna, we provide a link to sienna.html, link it to sienna.html. Then we provide an image, like close this tag, href image with source equals to, like it should be thumbnails slash sienna.jpg sienna underscore thumb sienna underscore thumb.jpg so alt equals to view of the alleys of Sienna. Sienna. View of the alleys of Sienna. View of the alleys of Sienna. Then I should have the Sienna image, yes. And then I also have to update this. In the paragraph, I will add an image. Source is photos. Is the S capital for Sienna? No, Sienna. Okay, Sienna.jpg. I didn't add the width or height, so I should specify width and height. So let's see what are the width and height for Sienna. 75 by 100 and 75. It's the time 37 minutes. Okay, so we could change this photo slash Sienna dot jpg. I provide a view of the alleys of Sienna. I need to provide a width and a height. So width and height Sienna is 375 by 500. We close this tag. 375 by 500. Okay, so see on the streets of Sienna, yes. View of the streets of Sienna. View of the streets of Sienna. Right. Okay. So far so good. Then finally we'll add thumbnail. Open the index file and add images. Bring the text. I've done the first one. Right, the house is stated. I put the image at the beginning of the paragraph just after opening, because all the thumbnail images are located in the thumbnail directory. I provided the path name. Okay, this is important to put the image in a paragraph tag. I also added the description of the image and the width and height dimensions in pixels. Now it's your turn. Add the countryside image and Sienna at the beginning of the paragraph in their respective sections. Be sure to include the path name and alternative text description When you are done, save the file and then open it in the browser to be sure that images are visible and appear. Right, okay, this was done. Next, okay. Next, add the image individual component, the view through my window. Notice that full-size images are in a directory called photos, so that needs to be reflected in the parentheses. A view, okay. Add images countryside. Hint, all the images are 500 pixels on the wide side and 375 on the short side, although the orientation varies. Save each file and check by opening them. Back in index.html, link the thumbnails to respective. Yeah. Right. A window in a window. Inline frames added. Added the iframes like a browser window within the browser that displays the external document and resources. Okay. A window in a window. As long as we're talking about embedding things on a page, I thought I'd tell you about the iframe element that lets you embed a separate HTML document or other resources in a document. The iframe element lets you embed a separate HTML document or other document. What you see on the page is a floating or inline frame that displays the document with its own set of scroll bars if the embedded document is too long to fit. Okay. You can place an inline frame on a page similarly to an image, specifying iframe, the source of its content, as well as its width and height. The content in the iframe element displays on browsers that don't support the element. This example, inline floating frames, list.html. Your browser does not support inline frames. Read the okay. You place an inline frame on a page similarly to an image, specifying the source of its content as well as its width and height. The content in the iframe itself displays on browsers. The content in the iframe itself displays on the browser that don't support it. This example displays a document called list.html in an inline frame. Inline floating frames don't see inline. Developers sometimes use them to keep third-party content such as interactive ads or other widgets quarantined so they don't interfere with the and uh, scripting and contents of the rest of the page. Inline frame. Okay, let me try, and that's all on the images. Image elements of that use map indicates a client size title, provides a tooltip. Ooh, this is so if you are table markup, I think I'm fine with this. URL use map indicates a client side image map. I don't know what that is. Okay, so let me try and so 7.1 inline frames iframe frame. Let me just we'll take Sienna. Or maybe I should sorry, I shouldn't take Sienna. I should take the what is adding links, right? Adding links, mail to link protocol, like linking to fragment. Where was linking? Jump to PS. Yep. Okay, this is the document. I think I will say appendix. I'll say this is appendix.html, and I will create a new file here. Index.html. Why did I do that? I could have just made a new file from right click. Yeah. No. Hey, did I cut it? No. Right. Okay. Index.html. Let's talk type HTML. Then we go with HTML. Start with the head. The meta gets set equals UTF-8. Title is line frames, then I'll provide the body. Source, okay, this only takes source and direction. So h1 inline, what had it inline floating frames. Okay. Inline floating frames h1. Then I'll just iframe source equals appendix.html. Then I'll provide a width equals to, let's say, 200 pixels, and it equals to 100 pixels. And is it a self-closing? Yes. Okay. Oh yeah, 400 is much, like 400 and 250. I think that is it. Let me try it. Oh, nice. Great. I like it. Great. So that is it for me. And we are okay. Title is to provide tooltip when the user moves supplemental information about the image. Okay. Right. So we call it a day for this one.